And it turned out
this image, and I keep holding this image up that Nancy Gibbs pointed to, where Barack Obama has his arm around a man who is reaching out to pro-Taliban forces, talking about killing Americans. The justice, who wants to weight me here? Who wants to weight me?
Let's not. Don't criticize the parents. Don't criticize the parents in here. I think that
I can criticize parents that have reached out to the Taliban.
Criticize the parents. I'm sorry.
Oh my God,
that are missing a child. Their son is missing for 5 years.
Chuck,
you know what? It is not logical. You cannot handle it.
If my son, I've got a 26-year-old son, and if my son is out on the wire and he is out there with fellow troops and he writes me up and says he hates America and he's thinking about deserting and he's thinking about leaving his post, I can tell you as a father of that 26-year-old or 23-year-old son, I'd say, Joey, you stay the hell right there. I would call his commander. I would say, get my son. He is not well. Get him to a military base in Germany. I would not say, follow your conscience, son. I would not reach out to the voice of jihad.
I'm not backseat driving how someone parents.
No, that is not backseat driving.
Joe.
I am a father. Any good father would not tell their son to follow their conscience and leave men and women on the line. Yes. Yes, he is.
Wow.
Oh, my God, Chuck.
Here, though, the criticism here is whether you think, as president, you would reach out and put your arm around him and embrace him in the White House and make this announcement.
No, I would not. I'm talking about as a father. And I can say this as a father of a 26-year-old son. I would never in a million years tell him to follow his conscience and desert his comrades in arms who depend on him. I would say, son, I'd say, Joey, Andrew, if you desert, they're going to have to come looking for you. And if they come looking for you, chances are good some of them are going to get killed. Son, stay where you are. I'm sorry. This is obvious, and I don't know why anybody's can't say this.
Listen, as a father, you know that it must be impossible to judge another father in his time of need. But you can judge our commander-in-chief for making these decisions.
I would never, ever allow my son to put other American troops who are on the line in danger. And if he was writing me an email, I would. I'm sorry. Am I all alone here, General? I'm sorry. Would somebody else? Hold on. Am I alone here in America? Would somebody say, son, stay right where you are. Okay, don't move. We're going to take care of you. We need to get you out of there. I'm not going to allow you to put other men and women in uniform in danger. That's not being a good father saying, follow your conscience.
I'll go right there and get in this conversation. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no problem with what you're saying about how you feel about how this father reacted. The story is what the president did with this family and whether or not that was the right decision given all the other things surrounding these decisions and whether it was helpful or hurtful to the national conversation. That's all. And I think when you start judging parents, a lot of people are going to come at you, and I'd rather not see that.
Joe's response is logical. I think that's a rational response. This father's response.
It's fine.
He's a father. He responded a certain way, but I think Mika's point is right. Should the president have embraced this, I think that is the issue. And Chuck, I don't think anything is wrong with Joe raising this issue. You have every right to raise it.
I don't have a problem with Chuck's point of view.
I think Joe has every right to raise it.
I disagree, but I just think we got to look. I think a parent's reaction. None of us have been there. I don't have a child that was missing for 5 years in the hand, so I can't. We don't know how any of us would react in a situation like that. That was the point I'm making, Joe. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying. I think we got to leave the parents out of this.
That was my reaction when I first saw the story, and I thought the kid was a deserter. I saw the father crying, and that was my reaction. And I said, I'm not going to judge this guy. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. The more I've read, the more disturbed I've been by the fact that this son wandered off, in part probably because he didn't have parents saying, son, stay right there. You're under emotional duress. I understand. And by the way, we parents, listen, one of the smartest things, Willie, I can warn you as well, Harold, Bill, you already know that. Big children, big problems, right? So we've been there. As your kids get older, the problems get bigger, and sometimes you need a parent to be actually stronger and more forceful and say, son, stay right there. I'm coming. I'm taking care. Our daughter Bill, you're sitting quietly, right?
Well, I mean, our son fought in Afghanistan, and thank God he's back well. And he and his men did not do what Bergdahl did. So I feel strongly about this. I'm not going to criticize, I guess. And I take your point, though. I mean, look, I wouldn't go out of my way to criticize a parent who maybe was irresponsible in terms of what he said before his son was captured, and certainly irresponsible in what he said after he was. I wouldn't go out of my way to criticize. But the President of the United States put that parent in the spotlight. That guy could have been in the middle of, where is he from? Idaho. He would have, maybe someone would have tracked him down and interviewed him. The President of the United States brought him to the Rose Garden. Well, so I agree with Mika. I agree with Mika. President Obama has to answer for that.
Completely. I do. Chuck, Todd.